First, let me go ahead and thank everybody for being here, all of our members of the media, all of our members of our caucus, and everyone else. Let me just say that as we began this year, this process started back in August at our annual caucus retreat. And throughout the fall, after the retreat, we traveled throughout the state of South Carolina in order to meet with members of our delegations from Greenville down to the coast. We had numerous meetings as we've been working on our agenda. And what you see before you today is the product of a great deal of work, a great deal of input from every member of our body, and also what you see is a renewed effort in order to turn the page on 2009 as we start looking towards 2010, and we're going to have a laser focus on a couple of things, and that is creating jobs and improving our economy. As you look over our agenda, and regardless of which item that you look at, there's one central theme that you will see recurring over and over, and that is the theme of improving our economy, whether it's through improving education, limiting government, or protecting our state's rights. Everything that we're doing and everything that we're focused on is all going to be around the central theme of improving our economy. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our speaker to talk a little bit about our first item, and that is growing the economy.
The first of the four agenda items we have is growing our state's economy. Today is the day when we turn the page from the difficult last few months and get our state focused on the issues that matter the most to our state citizens. South Carolina's economy is the biggest issue facing our state for the next 2 decades. Lowering the unemployment rate and increasing per capita income are issues that directly affect the lives of South Carolina families. The next legislative session will focus intensely on our state's economic priorities. Our economic development competitiveness plan lays out steps we need to take to make our state more competitive in today's global economy. I asked several business and industry representatives several months ago to meet in the off-season and discuss ways that we could promote economic development in South Carolina. The group consisted of Bernie Maybank, who's a former director of the South Carolina Department of Revenue, Otis Rawle, who's the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce, Nick Cremidas with the South Carolina Realtors Association, Louis Gossett with the Manufacturers Alliance, and George and April Allen with the South Carolina Economic Development Authority. The group was asked to find ways that we could improve South Carolina's business climate and to make our state more attractive, more competitive with other states as we attempt to attract business and industry. They met with other business, industry, and economic development experts from around the state. It included local and regional economic developers, economic development site experts, representatives of the Ports Authority, utilities, Duke, Scannon, Progress Energy, AT&T, and so on, real estate and development industries, the railroads, CSX and Northern Southern, and the South Carolina Research Authority, as well as many others. As a result of their work, we will be proposing legislation that does several things. Among the things it will do is to eliminate the corporate income tax, stagger the elimination over a period of 10 years, to make various changes to incentives from the fee and lieu statutes to job development tax credits and a number of other current incentives that exist in the code, making the incentives that we offer more competitive with our neighboring states, restoring the closing fund for the Department of Commerce to give them more resources to attract business and industry, creating a corporate headquarters tax incentives to cause major corporations to locate their headquarters in South Carolina, to set aside 1/3 of the endowed chair's money every year to be used by the Department of Commerce for a research chair related to a particular project where a project's economic investment in our state can be used as the match, and the research position will be used for that industry particularly. Provide incentives to recruitment for the recruitment of advanced energy component manufacturers, and to support other legislative and policy changes that will foster a more attractive business climate in South Carolina, such as tort reform, the employment changing or reforming the Employment Security Commission, dual rail access at the Charleston Port. In addition to all of these things that group put together for us, we've asked, the Majority Leader and I have asked several members of our caucus, including Rita Allison, Mac Toole, Dwight Loftus, Ralph Norman, Lanny Littlejohn, and other members to look at small business incentives that we could include as a part of this package. The focusing on South Carolina's economy is the most important thing that we need to do. We're going to do that. Part of focusing on the economy, though, is dealing or improving the quality of education within our state. And to go to our second agenda item, dealing with education and education improvement, is Representative Bruce Bannister, the Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Improving our education system from kindergarten to college is critical to improving our economy. Improving education is an issue that we can see clearly through the prism of economic development. A good quality education system is not a partisan issue. It's something that businesses believe is critical to provide the educated workforce that they need to fill good, high-quality jobs that we need in South Carolina. The House Republican Caucus is committed to helping students and parents and educators by doing the following things. Number one, maintaining the successful college scholarship program that we have in place now. Our college scholarship program has provided an opportunity for thousands of students who otherwise would not have been able to afford a college education. The caucus will work and in fact pass a bill today to allow the educators in the different districts the flexibility that they need to continue to provide a high quality education despite the budget pressures that everyone's feeling this year and potentially for another year or two. Finally, we will work to continue to allow and encourage parents to participate in the education process by supporting the charter school system that we have in South Carolina and continue to help offer parents the choices that they need to keep them involved and provide a high quality education to our students. And now the next agenda item, introduce Representative Annette Young.
Thank you, Bruce. When it comes to helping business plan for the future, there are few items more important than increasing a responsible and limited government. Today, businesses across the nations are hesitating to grow and expand because they're unsure about the direction of the federal government is headed. The South Carolina House of Representatives Caucus will make it clear that we are responsible and limited government by doing these items. Once again, approving the state limited spending limits. It's an item that we've already passed through the House at least a half dozen times since 1994, hoping to get that through the Senate. We will continue to push to streamline government spend agencies. We will continue to work to establish a clear and decisive chain of command so that it's never in question about who's in charge of our state government. We also will expand online campaign financial disclosures for locals and expand campaign reporting on our own elections to be more transparent. And Mr. Herb Cushman will do our last agenda item.
Thank you, Ms. Young. The Republican caucus is part of our agenda is protecting the state's rights. Under the new administration, the federal government is undertaking an unprecedented power grab, much of which is at the expense of state governments. In the past, we have fought the federal government over items like Real ID, powers that are not granted the federal government in the Constitution. The House Republican caucus will do everything in its power to limit federal intrusion into areas where power is reserved for the states. Specifically, we will support free market health care reform, not a government-run takeover, and do whatever the caucus can to protect our constituents from such a takeover. We will support the right of workers to vote by secret ballot on whether they wish to join a union in South Carolina, no matter what giveaways the Democrats in Congress want to give to their union friends. And we will stand vigilant as we assure Congress will try to grab more and more of the power from the states. Mr. Leader.
Thank you. And finally, as you see to my left, we also have a calendar or a chart showing our unfinished business. These were items from 2009 that were all passed by the House of Representatives. All of these items on our unfinished business now languish in the Senate. We certainly want to encourage our Senate colleagues to take a look at these as they move through the 2010 session as well. And at the very bottom, you see a short list of items that made it through the House and the Senate, and we certainly hope to increase that list to be reflective of the items that we've got on our list to the right and the list to the left as we move forward into the year 2010. with that, we want to thank you for coming. We'll certainly take any questions and direct those specifically probably to the areas of those who addressed those issues here today. But I'll open up for questions from the media. Well, that was because it was not part of our agenda item last year. It's a great question. It was not listed specifically on our agenda last year. It was an issue that passed overwhelmingly in the House, and so that's why it's not on here. The only items on here, there are many, many more items that we passed that we would like to see accomplished, but this is just dealing with what we said last year in our agenda that we would do. We're showing that we did those things, and these are now left out to still left over in the Senate. But cigarette tax wasn't a part of the agenda, but it was something that we passed and certainly something that we'll be working on.
Thank you. The agenda is about supporting the charter school system that we have now and the education system that is set. Certainly there will be other issues that come up this year that we'll look at a variety of different improvements to the education system, but no others are on our agenda at this time.
Other questions? Thank you. Well, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
In an election year, how optimistic are you that these things are going to be done and dealt with in a timely manner?
In the House, very optimistic, and I mean that's what we do whenever we set an agenda out. I mean, the items do not make it on our agenda unless we have overwhelming support of the House Republican Caucus. Now, obviously, there's work to be done, and obviously we'll have to fight through to get these items accomplished. But typically, the House Republicans have very good success in moving its agenda through the House. Now, whether it passes the Senate, we'll have to talk to the Senate about that. We understand it's a system in which both sides have to work together, and we're willing to do that. But I'm very optimistic that we're going to pass our agenda items like we have done, and we have a record of success in the, well, pretty much it's a 100% record of success in the past.
How do the efforts on business incentives growing our economy square up with the rationalization effort of the state's taxes?
The Track Commission is looking at the tax code as a whole, and we're looking very forward to getting that report back because we need to do a total comprehensive reform of South Carolina's tax code. The committee was looking specifically at economic development incentives. What do we do specifically toward causing business and industry that currently exists in South Carolina to be able to expand or to be able to recruit business and industry into the state? So we're looking very forward to getting the track report and being able to deal with the tax code overall in a very comprehensive form, but we believe that we must focus on the economy immediately in order to deal with the unemployment rate that we face. So that group came together with an eye specifically toward economic development related items and brought that recommendation to us.
But a lot of tax breaks have been passed over the years that the Track Commission is looking at as economic incentives, as efforts to keep businesses. How do you keep those two efforts square with one another?
I don't think it's a problem at all keeping those two efforts square with each other, as you put it. Clearly, as the Track Commission is looking at the entire tax code, they would be including conversations about what came from the Economic Development Task Force that I put together also. I would expect, frankly, that what that group did over the last 3 months will have a very big impact on the Track Commission because we've had business and industry folks who understand what we need to do to recruit other business and industry folks. They've spent 3-4 months putting all of this together for us. I would expect the Track Commission would absolutely welcome that work product that they have in their deliberations.
Other questions? Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.